During this time, I found it really hard to connect to God. And I think when we're in that space, when we're in a space of finding it difficult to find God in our day-to-day life, it's really important that we share our testimony. Testimony is a fantastic way of remembering a time that was. A time that you felt connected to God. And so I want to take this opportunity to kind of share a little bit about a testimony that we have as a family that has been really cool for us. And hopefully it breeds a little bit of faith. When life looks a little bleak and you can't really see or know where God is, I think of the Israelites and their time spent not only in the desert and in the wilderness, not knowing where their next meal was coming, but also in the time of exile. I think the reason why the Bible repeats itself so much is because it was the Israelites that were looking back at the time that was better and remembering that God is still faithful. And so I'm overcome and I'm struck by a feeling of God, you're still faithful. Even though I can't hear you or see you right now, you're still faithful. So me and my wife, Amy, we were just married. And we had absolutely nowhere to live. We kept praying that God will come through, that a place would become available. And miraculously, this place came available. It was the basement of Amy's grandma's house. And by the grace of God, we were able to move in a week after a little house sit that we were doing. And we stayed there all the way up until Amy's grandma passed away. And it was a really hard time for both Amy but also us as a couple, because our house was also about to get taken away as well. We also had a little 4-month-old Elijah that we had to take care of as well. And it was such a stressful time, and we prayed the hardest we've ever prayed for a house to become available. And miraculously and suddenly, someone that we didn't even know offered up a house for us to house sit for the foreseeable future. And this house was incredible. Saying it was a mansion is an understatement. And it was such a testament of God's willingness to help us and provide for us that we had never seen before. I remember before finding this place, I was crying, trying to sort a place out. And honestly, it was only by the grace of God that we found this place. But as the months went by, we were looking at what was next. We couldn't stay there forever. It was only a temporary place, and there was nowhere else. We couldn't find anything within our price range. And then my old youth pastor, Donovan Hartel, he moved from the place that he was staying into a new house, and the people that owned that house was the elders of my old church, and they allowed us to stay there for a very cheap rent for a very long time, for about a year actually. And God just provided us a place to live then too. It was like a sequel to God's provision. Chapter 1, the amazing house. Chapter 2, an awesome place to live for a year. And then the third chapter was we were looking at moving. And we didn't really know where we were looking. We thought we might be renting for a bit longer. And we found we found this place, this website that sold tiny houses. And we were talking to Amy's parents about it, and they agreed that we could chuck a tiny house on their property. And it was in our price range and in our budget. And the pieces just fell into place again and again and again. And God's provision just allowed us a place to live again, even though it was on the last straw. I feel like you don't know God's plan until the moment that you need a plan.
You did?
Taking life step by step, even through a crazy time like this COVID pandemic, I think just breeds faith. And I think we all need a bit more faith in our life. So I hope you followed along with my my thought pattern. And thanks for coming on this walk with us.